Hello again, this is Coach Paul here, back with another Chalk Talk. Today's topic, I want to discuss the mistakes that strength coaches make. This is a common thing. I discuss it all the time with my athletes. They come to me with different things that strength coaches at their schools might be having them do, or somebody at home might be having them do in the garage. And I'm just trying to put the pieces together on, how it can work for them or not. And a lot of times it's just misinformation. It's just, we got to make sure that, what origin are you using to create your workouts? And the most common thing here in Hawaii is we teach them what we were taught, and we try to pass it on to, our younger generation. And it's not a bad thing because we really are engaged and we're trying to help our kids. But here's what happens: is kind of, if I look back at it and I share my story, back when I was in high school, all our coaches did, as good as a football program that we had, we didn't have the best strength training. And back then we didn't have these resources that we have now, like we do with Phase One Sports, or other strength sports performance programs out there that you can go and join into and let the coaches do the work. We literally had to do the researchers ourselves, which we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Google, we didn't have none of that. The only resource we pretty much had were bodybuilding magazines. So if I go back to, it wasn't even, we didn't even have a real strength coach back in high school. It was just our football coaches. And I can tell you, we worked on what I know now are called compound lifts, which are very important, which was our bench press, our squats, our deadlifts, our clean and pulls, and some curls. And that was our strength conditioning program, in a nutshell. And the crazy part is there was no real programming to the lifts. It was just, we're gonna go in and day out, we're gonna try to get stronger, lift as much weight as we possibly can. And we had great work ethic, but it was just, not now, knowing what I know now, that just wasn't the right way to train, for especially my position in football, which was a wide receiver. So, I guess I could say fortunate but not fortunate. I was not a good at barbell squats, back squats, and the coaches couldn't tell me why. I would lean over, hunch my back, like I would definitely hurt my lower back if I tried to do a squat. My heels would get off the ground, and not even my coaches could tell me why I wasn't doing the right squat. So I just completely stayed away from them, in a nutshell. And I wasn't real good at deadlifts either. So my main source of working my legs was running, and I ran the stairs a lot. I didn't even know what that meant back then. I just knew I had to do something. I saw guys like Walter Payton, who was a running back for the Chicago Bears. I saw guys like Jerry Rice, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers for a long time. Those were the guys we looked up to, and I saw them run hills. We didn't have a good hill to run, so I just looked at the stairs at our school, and I ran a lot of stairs. I did a lot of sprints on the field. Again, there was no real programming. It's all I knew. I saw that they would jump stair to stair. I would start doing, double leg jumps on the stairs, to single leg hops on the stairs, to sprinting up the stairs. And that was basically my workout. And it worked. It worked for me. But definitely, if I had more knowledge or somebody that I had access to, I always say I could probably have propelled my career even further. So, just back to that with that story, is that's what a lot of parents, uncles, some coaches, it's just the experience that they have that they're trying to pass down to the athletes that they work with. And again, it's not a bad thing, except are we really doing justice for them, in their sport? So, again, just be very wary of where the origin comes from, of where you're getting your workouts from, who you're getting your workouts from, because it all matters in today's game. I mean, the way athletes are today, everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. There is a certain way that you need to train for your sport. So if we look at it, we have to. It's like having a puzzle. right? So if we're training an athlete who runs track, I have a specific strength conditioning program. They have their own type of speed work that they do specifically to track runners when I work with track guys. And if I work with a basketball guy, same thing. There's a specific way to strength condition, strength train for a basketball player, and a certain way that we work their sprints. Same for football players, soccer players, etc. It is geared towards their sport. It is specific to their sport so that it serves them the best. And we put all those puzzles together for that athlete. So what I'm saying is strength coaches sometimes they use the same program for each sport. And it's like it's not good because there's different puzzles to each sport and they're using the same puzzle for one sport. I hope that makes sense. And um, so we have to make sure, there's the other side of the coin is this. Not only you have to strength train a specific way for a sport, sometimes they could even dial in more to a position. So say a quarterback. A quarterback in football will train slightly different than he would than a lineman. Of course he has to do some of his compound lifts, but there's a lot more other things he has to work on to get his strength in throwing, not just in his upper body, so his lower body, as well. So like they're just a different way. He almost trains like a baseball player would in hit for hitting balls much harder and stronger. So I mean, again, it's different puzzles. So you can take puzzles, say just like I explained from a baseball point of view, and you put that some puzzles into a say a quarterback in football, but then their programs won't be totally the same. You can have bits and pieces from the puzzle, but at the end of the day, they have totally different puzzles that when it's complete. I hope that makes sense. Now, this is the same. So what happens now, if if you watch a good say basketball team train, you would see like the volume that they put in their dribbling, in their shooting, in their rebounding, and things of that nature, in the skill set of basketball. They're putting in a lot of volume. All right. Same goes, say, for a football player. When they train for a skill set, like we work with wide receivers, quarterbacks, defensive backs, etc., we do a lot of volume in their throws, within an hour, hour and a half. So, same for the route running. I mean, there's just a lot of reps, a lot of, decel acceleration. So, there's a lot of volume being put in on the skill set side. So, explaining that your strength training and your skill set training in your sport have to be harmonious. They have to coincide where it's helping each other and not hindering each other. And a lot of times, the mistake that the strength coaches make, and it's not their fault that they're just not, they're not like we are all certified trainers, here at Phase One Sports, and we make sure we're constantly learning, the new ways of training in certain position sports, etc. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to go back to the old school approach, is what we call it, and you're just going to stick to what you know and pass it on to your athletes, and it's not going to help them. Now, I've seen athletes train in certain ways where like a powerlifting style and they get very strong. Don't get me wrong, they look like monsters. You use the term bigger, faster, stronger. They're definitely bigger and stronger, but the faster some, majority of the time gets taken away. And what translates more to the field or the court, you need that speed. I mean, the bigger, faster, stronger, it all coincides. So being that said is your strength training for your sport has to coincide with your skill set training, and the puzzles all have to get put together on both ends. The volume that you put in, say, in your skill set training, like I explained, your strength training has to coincide with that, so you prevent injury. You're moving along and progressing, where you're not getting slower, not progressing in your skill, but getting stronger in the weight room. So you always hear me talk about it has to translate to the field, the court, the track, whatever your sport is. It has to translate in your training to your sport on your court or the field. All right. So, if again, coaches, we just got to make sure that if you don't know what you're doing, we got to make sure you're either going to gain the knowledge, to continue and working with athletes, or your best bet is to make sure you put them in the hands of someone who absolutely knows what they're doing You know, we all care for our athletes. That's why we do what we do. But we just got to make sure we're leading them in the right direction because, you know, the way athletes are today, they focus on so much in one sport. Where back then we played multiple sports. Nowadays, there's so many one sport players, like soccer's a big one where all they play is soccer all year round. And I see more injuries, knee injuries, coming in female soccer players than ever before. I mean, I've seen 10-year-olds who are getting ACL surgeries. Why should a 10-year-old be getting an ACL surgery at such a young age? And it's very common. And the thing is because they overuse the movement day in and day out, almost all year round, without no strength training whatsoever. And you might be saying, oh, but I don't want my 10-year-old to lift weights. You don't have to lift weights to do strength training. There's many ways that we learned here at Phase One Sports where we can do body weight training for young athletes that will get them strong. We use bands, we do different things that will help them strengthen and prevent injury. So with that said, guys, you know, again, be very conscious on what strength coaches you're working with. Make sure they're doing what I just explained and being harmonious in the strength training and the skill training. Where, you know, I know, like, for example, right now, summertime, there's going to be football athletes that we work with in high school where they're going to be going through their high school workouts in the afternoon and be coming to us in the morning. So we have to make sure that we're doing the right training so that it won't hinder them when they go to the afternoon practices in their sport. So we make sure we do that, and it's been working for many, many years. And we're just flat out excited to be working with athletes that come across. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. Make sure you follow our channel on YouTube and like and subscribe our videos, help get the word out. And I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be blessed. Peace.